Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video I'm going to be bringing you today, in which I'm going to be asking a particular question that I don't think many people have really spoken about recently, but I've been really thinking about with the current state of Dragon Ball Super, and more importantly, characters that have been introduced in this series thus far, particularly after the Battle of Gods movie and arc. And the question I'm going to be asking today is, does it still matter if Goku and Vegeta surpass Beerus in Dragon Ball Super? Now, certainly Beerus is a character who is of immense power beyond anything that we have seen in Dragon Ball up until the point of Dragon Ball Super. He is a god of destruction and a character who could potentially destroy not only one universe, but up to many of them, or all of them really, at his maximum power, which we still have yet to see fully tapped. And Beerus was the newly introduced villain in the Battle of Gods movie and subsequently Battle of Gods arc of Dragon Ball Super, in which he was introduced as this unstoppable dominant foe who neither Goku nor Vegeta nor Gotenks nor Gohan anyone could stop, and Goku even goes so far as to unlock another legendary transformation in which it is a godly transformation, taking it above every other character in the series up until that point, including even fusions like Vegito, and yet Goku still could not come out on top in his encounter with Beerus and still was on the losing end. And it seemed like after this point it was Goku and then subsequently Vegeta's goals in order to surpass this god of destruction Beerus, who not even the Super Saiyan God could stop. And however, even though that did seem all in well at first, additional characters have continually been introduced which have kind of made this goal, which seemed so big at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, diminish in returns over and over until the point where I have to question if it even matters. And what I mean by this is, subsequently after the Battle of Gods fight, even though we were under the impression at that point that Beerus was the most powerful being that there was, we find out that Whis himself is also even more powerful than Beerus, and Whis is his attendant and his martial arts master. And so we think, okay, well, surpassing Beerus is kind of that stepping stone to surpassing Whis, and also surpassing Beerus will still make them higher than a god of destruction, who is technically ranked higher than Whis, so it still is a big deal. But then we get introduced to a character like Champa, and then we see Vados, his attendant, are also more powerful than Goku and Vegeta by a significant margin, and it's arguable that Champa is close to around the same level of power as Beerus, and Vados is arguably even more powerful than Whis, as she once was confirmed to be 1,000 years ago to be more powerful than her brother. So again, this continued to further erode this power structure and this power scale and the importance of surpassing Beerus, but then it went even further, as subsequently in the Universe 6 arc, we were introduced to characters like the Omni King. And the Omni King is a character who is literally beyond every other character there is up until this point, and seemingly beyond every character in all of Dragon Ball, who seemingly may be omnipotent, who we've even seen thus far in the Future Trunks arc of Dragon Ball Super destroy seemingly an entire multiverse with relative ease. And Beerus and Whis are completely afraid of this character, but even further than that, his underlings that were introduced, his guards, may very well even be stronger than Beerus as well. And then we're introduced to yet another character who is a powerful character beyond everyone else, named Daishinkan, who we find out is Whis' father and could pretty effortlessly beat Whis probably with one pinky when it comes down to it. So yet again, Beerus is undermined in terms of his overall power and whether or not it really is a gigantic goal to really surpass him. But then we have to think about this as well. There are 12 universes in total in the Dragon Ball multiverse, at least in the main timeline. So that means that there are 10 other gods of destruction whom we have yet to be introduced to, who may also be more powerful than Beerus. Now, certainly that is an assumption, or that is something that we can think about. You know, Beerus has a possibility that maybe he's the strongest god of destruction, edging out all the other ones, but the way Akira Toriyama tends to write, it's usually like these characters who have yet to be introduced may very well end up being more powerful than Beerus and Champa, or even Whis and Vados. So again, that makes us wonder, does it really matter anymore if Goku and Vegeta and anyone else really surpass Beerus at this point, considering that there are so many other characters who are continually introduced who are more powerful than Beerus? And even when we think about it, if we want to take into account these other timelines as well, if you look to every other timeline, then there's all these other characters in addition to our main timeline that we normally see who are also more powerful than Beerus and Whis and all these other characters who we continue to be, hyped up and introduced to, but ultimately fall far below the mark of being the most powerful being there is. So relatively, if Goku and Vegeta were to surpass Beerus, say by a small amount, there are still so many other characters that are above them in terms of power, and so significantly above them in terms of power, that ultimately it makes it seem like surpassing Beerus right now has become totally a moot point, because it doesn't really accomplish much except for being stronger than the highest god of the universe that they're in. And as we've seen with Dragon Ball, Goku and Vegeta and all these other characters constantly surpass the highest god that we've ever seen, so it doesn't really seem like it really matters that much at this point in time. But for all we know, we're still going to find out that Beerus has like 10 more transformations, and he was using 0.11 trillionth of his power when he was fighting Goku as a Super Saiyan God. So we could find out that maybe it really is a big deal, and he really is the most powerful of that ranking of the top 5 battle powers in all of existence. Although now I guess it's a top 20, top 25, because all the other timelines, who knows? I guess we'll find out in the next arc, or finally when we get to see that Omniversal tournament. But regardless, this was my video in which I was wondering and pondering about that question, because really, it does make me wonder if Beerus kind of has been downplayed in that way, and so has kind of defeating him and overshadowing and surpassing his power in the predominant sphere and the hierarchy of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super. And I think that might be kind of a shame if that really is the case, because I really do like Beerus as a character. He's one of my favorite villains in the franchise, and I feel like his introduction and a lot of the introductions to concepts that we saw in the Battle of Gods arc were really a big fresh breath of air for Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and the entire franchise as a whole, because really before that it seemed like everyone had been written to a corner. We had GT, we had all these transformations one after the next that kind of, were going nowhere. What really else was there to do? And, Beerus was in a lot of ways that symbolism of change in Dragon Ball. So I really hope in the future it'll matter when Beerus is surpassed, if that ever truly does come about. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another video I was bringing you today, asking the question, does it still matter if Goku and Vegeta surpass Beerus in Dragon Ball Super? Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments section. If you still think it matters, will at least matter to you personally because he's such a cool character and because of how impressive he was in the past, or does it really not matter that much to you anymore? And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe!